Dan. My name is Laura Shaw. I'm 33 years old and live in Warrensburg, Missouri, just about an hour away from Kansas City. And I'm so excited for this opportunity to be able to share with you my reflections on your book, 10% Happier. I read this past summer and instantly fell in love with it because I felt a personal connection with it based on my life, and just a comfort knowing that someone else was on the same path, because when it does come to anxiety and depression, we often do feel alone. And so knowing that you're on the same path and sharing openly your views with meditation was really exciting for me. So just take a few minutes to share with you a little bit about my story and how your book 10% Happier has affected me. And so to pretty much sum it up, I have dealt with anxiety and depression my entire life since I was a very young girl. And partly based on genetics and also environmental, living with a parent with mental illness has caused me my entire life to learn about it. And not until my early 20s did I begin to become aware even that I was in a state of major depression. Began a process of medication and some therapy at that time, but not really consistent, and not meditation or anything like that. As I got older and I went up through my 20s, I started to gain an interest in Zen Buddhism and began reading and feeling that it would be a good fit for me. So I began attending a Zen Buddhist temple in Lincoln, Nebraska when I was living there at the time, and began meditating there regularly and beginning in-depth studies on Buddhism, and also ended up taking the precepts, receiving a Dharma name, and becoming a part of that temple. Around that time, I began to, close to my 30s, have kind of my second stint, I guess you could say, with major depression. Had some traumatic events happen in my life, as well as a culmination of kind of chronic stress that I hadn't really effectively dealt with. So at that time, I had a medication change and began weekly psychotherapy, where I was able to begin to start to make these connections in my life and with why my body did what it did, why my brain did what it did, why behaviors that I had had my entire life and had difficulty changing, were the way they were. And then beginning to see this relationship with my study of Buddhism and remaining in the present and not focusing on the future with my anxious thoughts, or focusing on the past with my depression. So it all began to become a connection for me. And so some of the coping skills that I utilize with my mental illness that I consider to be chronic, daily, something that I have to maintain, are meditation, and having that mindful awareness brings me balance. Having continuous mental health help through therapy, meds, research, asking for help, doing lots of reading and different things. Eating and personal care, physical health. A few years back, I was really overweight and began the process of mindful eating and losing weight, and was able to succeed with that and still continue that today. Practicing yoga, now teaching yoga, and bringing not just my awareness in my mind through meditation, but also my body awareness to help with weight loss, and further helping with relationships. Art has always been a part of my life. I began Zentangling a couple years ago as an example of one of my pieces, and it has been a great addition to my meditation practice as well as my creative practice. And I'm also an active journaler, sketchbook keeper, collage person, having to keep record of my path. I have a degree in art education. I've been an art teacher for a while. I currently work as a para-educator, working with students with special needs, and am present a lot in art classrooms working with them. And then I also find that, of course, my spirituality, my understanding of Buddhism has also really kept me grounded throughout many times. So, in an essence, the 10% happier, I would say, at first I thought, 10% happier, I don't know about that. Like, I feel like all these things have made me 100% happier, although I'm generally not really 100% happier, but if I can keep myself at a particular, above 70%, then I'm pretty good. But I realize that I do agree with your title, because each one of those elements in my life is a percentage. And if I keep routine with those, then when the unexpected happens, when my body does what it does, when that's beyond my control, when things happen in my environment, when something happens at work or in a relationship, if I can have those things stable in my life, each of those percentages can keep me level, can keep me balanced. So 10% happier, or a little bit of the glass being full, is not always, a bad thing, because having at least that much there for you to fall back on is what I have found has been most effective for me. So I thank you for the opportunity to share a little bit of my story with you, and I thank you for writing the book. And I just continue to share and encourage people to have mindful awareness through meditation practices, and be more open about sharing about mental illness and releasing some of that stigma. So, thanks, Dan.